Why am I nervous? Hey guys, what's up? This is Leah with Between the Sheets. We are back, and look who is sitting next to me.
I'm back, guys. I'm back. I missed you guys so much.
We're so excited to be here. We are going to be talking about basically knowing your worth, knowing your value, knowing your numbers. If you remember the last podcast that I just recorded, we were really just kind of deep diving into mindset and what your idea of money look like to you.
Right.
And just kind of going through some of those presets of, paradigm thoughts that you may have been taught or you may have learned in your life, and how they can actually affect your life, your relationships, and your business.
Yes.
So now we're going to take a deep dive in, and we're really going to start to look at the financials of knowing your business so that you then in turn can know what to charge your clients.
Yes.
So we're very excited to step in, and we will get going here.
I'm excited.
All right, guys, so we are back. I'm super excited.
Yes.
My name is Leah. I am your host
Yes.
of Between the Sheets, and this is my co-host, Miss Whitney.
What? WHITNEY, period, poos.
Yes.
It's good to be back.
We are back, and we are ready to roll, and we're going to just deep dive in. I think one of the very first things that we want to kind of talk about is knowing how important it is to know your numbers.
Yes.
And we have just come off of a very long and just...
It's gotten better this year. It's been better this year, but I mean, it's time consuming. Knowing your numbers, keeping track of all your business expenses, money coming in, money coming out, like that is the utmost important part of running your business.
Yes, because if you don't know what to charge, your business can basically go bankrupt.
Absolutely.
So knowing your numbers is super important, and it's so important to run a successful business. 85% of photographers, and again, it could be business in general, people that don't know their numbers can end up bankrupt.
Yep.
And so we really want to look at how this whole thing correlates to know how much should I charge. You don't want to take your numbers from Sally down the street because it just sounds good, because I can almost guarantee that you're going to end up bankrupt.
Right, and you're not curving the market. So are you making this beneficial for you so you can stay afloat?
Correct.
With inflation and everything else that happens within the business?
Yep.
Like you said, taking the price from Sally down the street is not always going to be beneficial for your business.
Absolutely. And I like how you said, and you talked just a moment ago about inflation. You said the word inflation.
Yes.
It's very important that as you're scaling and you're growing your business, you have to keep up with the actual cost of doing business, which we've seen stupendously increased over the course of the last 2 years.
100%.
Especially in construction business. If you're in a construction business,
lumber,
your costs have gone up crazy stupid. So let's go ahead and just dive in. And what I want to first and foremost kind of show you guys is the system that we've created through Excel. Now, we are not accountants. Let me just first and foremost say that.
Although I feel like I kind of learning.
She does a lot. Whitney does a lot of the bookkeeping. No, she does all of the bookkeeping, I should say. But I really want to just make sure that I say we are not accountants. And so any of this information that we give to you, definitely check with your accountant to see if this is something that they can work with. Some accountants don't like the Excel, and they think that you need to keep kind of double bookkeeping, I should say, within your system. But if you have something like we have here, which I'm really excited to show you, I think that it will help you first and foremost stay organized in your business. And if it's clear enough that they can understand it, it should work. So again, check with your accountant, make sure that all of this information that we give you is going to work for you. So first and foremost, what I would like to show you guys is the actual Excel program that we have created. So this particular program is set up, and we actually did have Chris help us with the setup, which is amazing. And we have all of our expenses in line here. So first and foremost, if you can see on the screen, the very first thing that I want to show is the contractors. So what I think is really, really important is to understand that as you grow through business, hopefully you're going to be making more money.
Right.
and your expenses may change. You may be taking more trips. You may be, buying more expensive equipment. You may be upgrading things, which is all good and gravy. But let's just talk about the nitty gritty to start out with. Yeah. What does it cost me to run my business? So if at the end of the day, business was not good, you have COVID that hit, or you have to do layoffs, or the market just is not what it is. Let's get down to the nitty gritty of what it actually takes to run a business.
Yeah.
First and foremost, you got to pay yourself.
Yes.
You have to pay yourself.
Which is something that we learned, over the course of the last 2 years, just how important that specific number is and how it affects your business.
Yeah. So if, people are telling you, oh my gosh, why are you so expensive? Or, why do you charge so much? Well, really, first and foremost, that's really not, any of their business. Right. But if you really had to kind of break it down for somebody, you actually could. You could say, look, this is the cost of what, my business, just to turn on the lights.
Right.
Just to own the camera that I have. Just to own the software that I have. So if you're a brand new photographer or if you're just brand new in business in general, let's just talk about the nitty gritty first, because you're going to see on my Excel program that we actually have a ton of stuff built into this particular program, from our lab cost, how much we charge in marketing, our utilities, our equipment, furniture.
And guys, we chewed on this list for like a good solid, I want to say 2 years.
Yeah.
Before we edited this enough to where it made sense.
Correct. Yeah. And that's really, really important, is getting organized, because we've had to go back and forth and change things again and delete and add and
save your receipts, anything that you're purchasing, especially if you're purchasing from a separate business. Like, you have to save that information to make it make sense.
We run 3 different businesses at Leah Flores Photography. We own we run Leah Flores Photography. We have that business, which is the hub of everything. We have Dare to Bear, which is the lingerie, and that's a completely separate entity.
Yes.
And then we also have the Airbnbs that we run.
Yes.
And so though we're not going to get into all of those things right now, it is really important, like Whitney said, to make sure that those expenses stay separate.
Yes.
That's just going to be good for you, and understanding the cost of which each business, is costing you.
Yes.
And for your accountant.
Yes.
As well.
Don't piss your accountant off.
Yeah. Yes. No, because, they're the ones that are going to definitely have to go to bat for you if you get audited.
Yes.
So
yes.
Let's just kind of go back in really quick, and I'm going to show you a couple more things. We have travel in here. We have subscription. So what I really want you guys to kind of chew on is, what is the nitty gritty of what it takes to run my business? Okay. Right. So for me personally, I have to have my camera. That's a must. Yep. If I'm going to be shooting, I have to have my camera.
Yep.
Okay. So that's an expense. It's also, we're not going to get into tax stuff, because again, I am not a tax professional. Right. That is something we want to leave up to the accountant.
Yes.
I will say that we have learned over time that a lot of this equipment that you can actually depreciate with your taxes being done, and that helps you in the long run.
Yes.
Okay. So I need my camera. I need my computer. I need an editing software program like Adobe Lightroom. You can choose whatever it is that you use, but there's a subscription that I have to have with that. Okay. I need my makeup artist. Okay. I have to have a makeup artist. Now, again, at the end of the day, if I was going broke, I could still continue to shoot and have women do their hair and makeup and things of that nature, but it's just not the ideal type of boutique type shooting that I want to do.
Right.
I want to be an all-in-one system.
Yes.
I have to turn on my lights in my office.
Yep.
So I need to make sure that I have an expenditure for my utilities.
Yes.
I have a studio. Maybe you don't have a studio.
Right.
That's completely okay. You don't have to have a studio to start out with. Maybe you're shooting outdoors.
Yes.
Maybe you have a room that you're photographing in.
Or maybe you're renting a space from somebody.
Yes, and that's another, expense that you want to definitely keep track of. Maybe you're actually renting an Airbnb for your shoots. That's something that you're going to definitely need to put into your expenses, because this is all costing you money.
Yes.
So I have a little form here that Whitney and I are kind of looking at, and my bare minimum expenses for my business. Again, I want to pay myself.
Right.
I need to pay Whitney. I need to be able to also have some type of budget for marketing.
Yes.
My website.
Yes.
So your website's going to have costs associated with it, like your host, your domain. You need to add those expenditures in. If you have a monthly on your website, gotta add it in.
Yep.
If somebody's building it for you, gotta add it in. I am a print artist. Now, again, if I were getting down to the bare minimals, if I were not doing well in business and all I could do was offer my clients digitals, that's completely okay.
Right.
That's another podcast in
Yes,
itself.
it is.
That's another business course in itself of why I believe that prints will make you more money.
Yes.
But we're not going to get into that. So for me personally, I feel like I need to have a lab that I can work with, count on, and that's providing me some good pricing as well. Of course. Definitely shop your labs around. If you're in a different type of business, shop your materials around.
Yes.
Whatever it is that you're using.
Guys, my cost of money in the makeup field is just insane. And then when you put inflation on top of it, and then you put the trending that's constantly changing on top of it, I am forever buying makeup for my kid. It never stops.
Yeah.
And that's my main supply. That's how I make my money.
You know, I'm glad that you brought that up, Whitney, because Whitney is the makeup artist, right? And a lot of her supplies that she gets on her own. And we're not just talking makeup. We're talking Q-tips, eye makeup pads, eye makeup remover. Maybe it's something to wash their face off with. The brushes that are included. Maybe she needs a uniform or a belt to hold her equipment while she is actually applying the makeup. She needs some type of case to be able to put her makeup in or travel with. These are all costs. Also, if she's traveling to me, she can be also writing off some of her gas expenses, to and from when she has a job. Definitely keep track of that. I've heard that there are many apps as well that can record your mileage for you. That's something that you want to be doing.
Especially if you're traveling. If you're landlocked in a certain space, maybe not so much, but if you've got an assistant that's running errands for you and doing things like that, like those things are important. Every single little tiny piece that you think doesn't need to be added in, it probably does.
And so what we want you guys to do in this first exercise is really to sit down and think thoroughly about your business. What are the costs associated for the bare minimum, to run your business? Again, I have some professional fees that are built into mine, so that's going to be some of my subscriptions. That's going to be if I, have hired a lawyer on a retainer just to be sure that I'm covered. That's going to be my business insurance. Those are all professional fees. All of these items can be categorized, and that's what you saw a little bit, and I'll just kind of move that over again on the actual expense sheet itself. So subscriptions that we have in here, these are some of the subscriptions that I use. Travel, of course, and then the professional fees. So if I'm associated with a like PPA, the Professional Photographers of America, and they have a charge every single month that, it cost me to be a part of that membership, that's a professional fee. My accountant is a professional fee. If you have a Sam's Club or a Costco, those are professional fees if you're buying your materials from those places, from those different stores and whatnot. Your cost for your trademark, your name, your EIN number that you first started out with when you ran your business, you need to be writing those things into your expenses, especially if you have to renew them. So travel was in there. And again, if you are getting down to the bare minimum and you're like, okay, well, I can't be traveling right now, we get it. So maybe that's not something that's a bare minimum for you. For me, education is a must. Keeping up with what's going on. Same thing with makeup. Keeping up with what's going on in today's day and age. Things are evolving and changing almost always.
When you're sleeping. If you could wake up and something new has popped up or something different that you probably need to incorporate into your business.
Absolutely.
To keep you afloat.
Absolutely. We talked about utilities. So that's just what the cost it is to turn on my lights, whether it's in my studio, my office, where I'm plugging my computer into, all very important. Get with your tax accountant and find out if you have an outside studio or if you have an at-home studio to see if you're going to be able to eventually write off the square footage and things of that nature as well. But again, this is not a tax course. Just things to keep in mind. Your equipment, we talked about that, having a camera. What else may you need if you're shooting? I shoot boudoir, so I don't typically need a tripod when I'm shooting. I have, different lenses that I use. All of those things are separate.
Well, and think about things that could be considered equipment, but maybe aren't technical. Maybe you need to go buy a bunch of fabric for a specific type of shoe.
Absolutely.
That could be considered equipment.
Yeah.
It's making you run your business and be able to provide your service to a clientele. So think outside the box too, as far as some things that you may be using that, will fall underneath it.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So those are kind of what I came up with in my particular business. Okay. So when I take all of the costs, now what you have to do is you have to break down these costs monthly. Okay. Some of these you can break down yearly. So if you have a budget in mind that, hey, look, I don't want to spend more than $2,500 a year in equipment. Okay. So what's going to happen is you're going to have to take that $2,500 and divide it by 12 months. And that will give you your allocation for equipment. Okay. Yes. Even if you spend the $2,500 in January, but you know that that's all you're going to do, you can put it in January, but you can also break that down over the course of 12 months to say, this is what I'm spending on equipment. Keep in mind that your operational expenses are going to definitely be different than your office expenses.
Yes.
And the way that it was told to me was
which I struggled with in the beginning. I'm like, are you sure this doesn't go underneath this? Are you sure?
The desk that we're sitting at right now is a office expense. I mean, you could argue that it's an operational expense because I really do need it. But the furniture that's in my office, that's more of an office expense. It's for the comfort of my clients. It's for the comfort of the office. Paper, your ink, your pens, your notebooks, your notepads, all of these things, guys, have to be considered. And it's a lot.
Yes.
Okay.
It is.
So the first thing that you have to do, let's just kind of backtrack, is write down all of your expenses and think out of the box, like Whitney said. Like really go through those items and see, what does it cost me to operate? Eventually, as you start making more money, you can add in some of those other costs and get, really crazy with it if you want to. Because most of this stuff for our business is a write-off, which is amazing.
Yes.
But for the bare minimum, okay, because right now I'm talking to probably the newbie photographers, or it could be the photographers that just have not sat down and ran
just
their numbers.
Been doing things old school, which, hey, we get it. If you've been doing this for a really, really long time, maybe you have a flow that works for you, but are you going bankrupt? Are you paying attention to your business?
Yeah, and let me just tell you guys, if you had not watched the speech that I gave at the Guild, one of my very first mentors that came into my office when I was in my first location at my older home, came in and ripped me a new one. Yeah. She looked at my numbers, and I was so happy that I was charging $375. I had moved up in the world, okay, and was charging $375. And then she started to take down all of these expenses and said, guess what? You're bankrupt.
Yeah.
You are now part of the 85% of photographers that lose in this business within the first 2 years.
It's hard. That's a hard pill to swallow.
It is. But all of this information is valuable, and that's why we're telling you guys about it. So we have all of our expenses written down, okay? If I know that Whitney is going to cost me $50,000 a year, let's just say, okay? I would take that $50,000 and I would, divide it by 12 to figure out how much that's going to cost me per month. Because what we're interested in right now is the monthly cost to run my business. What does it cost me every single month to run my business?
Right.
So, for instance, I'm going to give you guys an example again. If I take down all of these costs and I determine, and let me see. Oh, we have it right here. If I determine that it's $7,500 that it costs me per month to run my business. Now, keeping in mind that I put payroll for me inside of this number. Okay, let's just say that you have to pay yourself. If you don't know what to pay yourself, that's a very personal question.
It is very personal. And you may need instruction by your accountant. Maybe you can't afford to pay yourself what you think you deserve, but in scopes of how it looks within your business and your numbers, maybe that's going to fluctuate every year. Maybe it's not going to stay the same.
And again, those things will change if you're an S Corp or if you're an LLC. With an S Corp, you can actually pay yourself a check every single month. With an LLC, you're probably just taking a distribution or a withdrawal of some sort to pay yourself. But what I think is important to ask yourself is, what does it cost you to walk away from your home, your family, your kids?
Good.
And really determine what that looks like for you.
Yeah. So what's your value?
What's your value? And that's going to help you to build your packages and what it is that you charge. Okay. So if I know that I need 70, I'm going to make this a nice round number here. Can I see that pen right there, Miss Whitney? If I know that I am going to need $7,500 a month to run my business. Okay.
And that's everything. That's utilities, that's subscriptions, that's professional fees, everything that we went over basically on that graph.
Correct. If that's what I need every single month, that's going to help me determine where I need to start pricing myself at. Okay. So let's just say that you are Mary Jo down the street and right now you charge $175. Let's make it $275.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's just make that number $275 for your session plus 10 digital files. I travel to you and I'm going to deliver those digitals via Dropbox or Google or however you decide that you need to do it, okay? In order to make that number, let's figure out how many sessions we have to do.
Right.
Okay?
Which, guys, she did this with me at the beginning of last year. I remember you came into my bedroom and you were like, we need to look at this. We need to look at this and break everything down and figure out how much money do we need to make to achieve our goals. Mm-hmm. Let's look at last year's numbers and see, okay, this is how much we did for the entire year in this area or that area. And to be able to break it down, it is so eye-opening.
It is so eye-opening, and that's why this is very important. So if I am charging $275 per session, and I need the bare minimum to pay myself, to pay Whitney, to pay my marketing, printing, subscriptions, professional fees, the things that we just went over, I have to do 30 sessions a month. That is one session every single day.
That's a lot. And if you're a photographer, the majority of that time, so think about how much you're paying yourself because you still have to be in here editing on top of it. And your time is valuable.
That's correct.
Whew, that's a lot of work.
So if you break it down, 30 sessions a month, okay, maybe I do, maybe I'm a volume photographer and that works for me. And I'm going to bust out 5 sessions in the course of, 5 times 6. So 6 different days, I'm going to do 5 different sessions. I still, like Whitney said, have to allot my time to being able to market my business, being able to put up Instagram posts, Facebook posts. I have to be able to have time to edit all of those photos.
Yep.
And I'm telling you right now, in the nicest way possible, if you are charging $275, you probably don't know too much about photography and you're spending a lot of time in editing.
Yeah. You're probably real excited to just take photos.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So, guys, understanding that is so important. Okay. So that tells me right there, burnout's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And that is a real deal thing for photographers. Burnout is that is what kills the majority of photographers.
Yes.
Is they feel like I'm shooting all the time and I'm barely making it.
Or you can take a case like me where I go, oh, I'm only going to charge you $100 for a full, glam session, and I'm doing it on the side, and then I'm now starting to run out of makeup for my kit. And I can't reimburse my kit to be able to provide the service that I need for the clients that come in to see us.
Absolutely.
Like, you've got to make it make sense for you and your business.
Yes. So very important, because again, this is what can make or break your business. So I'm going to stay with these numbers for just a second here. If I said and looked at that number and said, okay, that's crazy. Now that I understand what I need to pay myself and how much I'm killing myself trying to make this happen, what options do I have?
Right. Maybe it's, taking some money from another area in your operational expenses. Maybe you do want to do volume photography and you said, okay, well, I don't like editing, so now I'm going to pay somebody else to edit my photos for me so I can have a faster turnaround. But then that money's going somewhere else.
And exactly what she just said right there. That's another expense that I need to consider to add in. If I'm taking too much time editing, great, I want to hire somebody. Guess what? It's another expenditure that I have to add into my bottom dollar, which means that either I need to make more or I need to cut more.
Yes.
So you have one of two things that can basically happen here. I can shoot more, which if I'm doing 30 in a month, I probably do not want to shoot more.
No, especially if you're thinking about just your suite volume and how many photos you take. I mean, I couldn't imagine. You would never be out of this office.
No, you wouldn't. And you guys, trust me, that was a life that I lived for a very long time. Definitely was the life that I lived for a very long time until I really understood these numbers. So I can work more, which then I'm never going to see my family. And I'm sacrificing them for pennies on the dollar. Or I can cut expenditures, and if I'm already down to my bare minimal, this is what I absolutely need to make my business work.
Yes.
Then that's probably not going to be a sufficient decision for me. Or I can charge more.
Yep. Really, at the end of the day, that's what it means. You need to charge more.
Okay.
Stop cutting yourself short. Hold yourself at a face value for what you're doing, and make your numbers make sense for your business.
Yes. Make your numbers make sense for your business and for you, your own mental health and your own stability in your life. You guys, I can't tell you how important that is, because when you actually charge what you're worth and you have a little bit of a buffer even in between, gosh, life is so much better. It's stress. It's a lot. I don't want to say stress-free, but it's definitely less stressful.
But I mean, if you're opening up the opportunity to charge more, one, you're not cutting the market that you're in. You're holding value to the service that you're given. And then on top of it, if you are making more money, then you're going to have more room to play in different areas that will help your business.
That's right. Absolutely. So let's take those numbers again, okay? 7,500 is the bare minimum that I need, and I know that I do not want to do 30 sessions a month. What you can ask yourself next is, how many sessions do I want to photograph every single month? If I know that my bare minimum is $7,500, okay, that's what I need to make, but I only want to do 15. We want to cut that in half. 15 sessions a month. Let's figure it out, okay? So I said 30. Let's go 15, okay? Let's go 15 times the 275 is not making enough money. That's 4,125. So what does that tell me again?
You need to up your price.
I need to up my pricing, okay? So if I want to do 15 sessions, I got to figure out what that number is.
And I know some of you may be thinking, ooh, you want me to up my price? It turns back into that value again. There are cheaper things, or cost-effective, maybe not cheaper is not the best word, but there are other ways that when you elevate this experience, you elevate the ticket value of what you're providing your client, that you meet it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to charge this amount of money for a shoot, but this is what's going to come in your session. Let me make this make sense to my clients as to, this is why I'm charging this much.
So true. So very true. Everything that she's saying right now. Look, I can't just decide that I'm Sally from down the street and have very minimal education, and I am only going to, I'm going to just start charging $3,500 a session.
Yeah.
You got to be able to match the market and what you're able to provide, whether that's in your packaging, the experience, how you treat your clients, the gifts that you may give them. That has to match. Again, that's a different podcast. That's a totally different podcast. But that's a really good forethought of, where you possibly may want to go and what that looks like to you. If I want to start really creating boutique packages and giving my clients a 5-star experience, what do I need in my business to be able to do that?
Don't be scared to raise your prices.
So what do? All we have to do is take that $7,500 and divide it by 15. That's it. Okay? That gives me a bare minimum to charge of $500. If I'm still doing sessions, okay, and I need to make my bare minimum, which is the $7,500, and I don't want to shoot 30 sessions, I have to up my pricing to $500, okay? If you only wanted to shoot 5 sessions in 1 month. Okay, let's do that again. I'm taking that number, 7,500 divided by 5. I need to be charging $1,500 for each session. And if your sessions include your digital files and whatnot, I'm just giving you guys roundabout ideas. You guys, I only want to be shooting between 5 and 8 sessions a month. I know what burnout is. I know what that did to me. I know what it did to my family. I know how much time, I know how much time it took me away from them. But not only that, like just spending hours upon hours upon hours in my office, a lot of the times by myself.
Burnout, hating what you're doing, which is not the overall reason why you started your business.
That's correct. So wouldn't you feel better if you charged more and shot less? I know I do.
I mean, that sounds much better. It sounds amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you're a volume photographer, then this, you can adjust these numbers as such. If you say, well, look, I'm totally comfortable shooting 30 sessions a month. I'm comfortable shooting 40 sessions a month. Great. If you do something different as far as weddings go and you charge a way higher dollar, you can say, maybe I'm going to do 1 wedding a month. Maybe I'm going to do 3 weddings a month, 4 weddings a month. Right. If you are in a makeup business and you know that your bottom dollar that you need to hit for your bills and your kit and paying yourself and paying all of your materials is this number. So Whitney could look at it and say, okay, I goal-wise want to be making $75,000 a year. Okay, so let's break that down. $75,000, and again, I'm just throwing out numbers here. First and foremost, I'm going to divide that by 12. That means that I need to be making $6,250 every single month. If I broke that down by clients, let's figure out, and she says, I can see comfortably in 1 month, give me a number.
12 people.
12 people divided by 12. That would tell me that she needs to charge $520 for a makeup application.
Right.
So,
but what could I do to make that service worth that number?
Maybe she adds in waxing to that. Again, there's costs associated with that. But maybe she, teaches a course on how to do the makeup while you're with her. So you're going to get an hour of course learning education of how to apply this makeup look. Maybe there's 3 different makeup looks in one. What does that cost her? More of her time, yes. Maybe a little bit more of her materials. Maybe she starts asking her clients to bring what they have.
Yes.
So she's not using her makeup.
Material, yes.
You just got to think out of the box a little bit.
Yes.
Also, you cannot, and hopefully I'm going to say this right, you can outprice yourself in the market that you're in. This amount for makeup may be good in LA. It may be good for movie sets. It may be good for some of those things. Great. Maybe she determines at some point this is not the market for her.
Right.
You've got to know that you can price yourself out of a market, and that's detrimental if you're not willing to up and move yourself into a different direction.
Right.
Wow. So eye-opening, all of this stuff, you guys. And we're already 32 minutes into this podcast. Probably are going to have another segment of this, and I hope that this knowledge that we have, this wisdom, I should say, because knowledge is just basically knowing the information. Wisdom is actually applying it, and we definitely apply this into our business. Every single month we're running statements.
Yes.
I have 1 card, 2 cards.
2 cards, yeah.
I have 2 cards that I use. I have a business chase card where I'm able to get my points from. That's another podcast in itself.
Yes,
I'm not going to go off into the whole Dave Ramsey thing. But I actually do pay off my card every single month, and I'm able to get points to travel. You see me traveling? Guess what? Yep. That's how I do it.
Yep.
So I have that card, and then I also have my bank business Visa card. Okay, that's just a debit card. The other day, or last week, I should say, my card got compromised. I did not have it for a good week. I have expenses that needed to be paid. I put that on my Visa debit card, and guess what, guys? I have money in my account to be able to pay for those things.
Yeah.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Think about what number you want to have safely inside of your bank account for expenses that may come up, emergency things that may come up. Guess what? My camera broke.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? That's the only camera that I have. I got to wait on insurance. Luckily, I have insurance because I'm paying for it.
Right.
What am I going to do? I have to send my camera out, and I'm without a camera for a week. So I'm probably going to have to rent it from somebody.
Because you don't want to stop the flow of business. Just because something comes up, you can't stop the flow of the business. It's going to make you go bankrupt.
You could, but then you're out that money as well. So not only am I out my camera, I am now out my clients because I decided that, it's going to be cheaper for me just to kind of wait and throw these sessions off. Or I say, you know what, guess what? I've created a little bit of an emergency fund within my business. Maybe I needed to add that into my monthly expenses. If I say, look, I want to have an emergency fund of $2,500 in the year for circumstances like that.
Right.
Hard drive failure. Okay, let's talk about outside of photography. Car broke down. My business truck broke down. Somebody stole my tools.
Yep. I thought about that when I was working one of the fashion shows. Another makeup artist, a fellow makeup artist, brought it up to me, and she was just like, you work these fashion shows all the time, and she was like, we always want to see the models when they walk, so we walk away from our kit and go out into the front and look at it. Mm-hmm. She said, Whitney, what would you do if somebody stole your makeup kit? She said, you don't have insurance on that. And I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't even know you could insure stuff like that.
You guys, I have an amazing insurance agent by the name of Gary, and he is with Allstate. It's not what's his name with the, what is the commercial? Jake with State Farm?
Yes.
Not Jake with State Farm, okay? It's Gary with Allstate.
You're in good hands with Allstate.
You are, and you guys, I am in good hands. He takes care of my business. He takes care of my business insurance and umbrella policy in case somebody hurts themselves, tries to sue me. He takes care of my car insurance, which I have a separate car for the business, and he insures that. He takes care of my home. He takes care of my auto. You guys, shout out to Gary with Allstate. I'm going to try to drop his information.
Yes.
I love referring him because he takes the time with me, number one. If I need to get on, we need to talk. We just did it the other day. We talked numbers again. Hey, my renewal's coming up. Let's see what we can do. Where are we at? He took the time with me, which I truly appreciate. He gets on the phone call. I will continue to refer that man up and down. Yeah. So the I'm going to kill his name. I'm sorry, Gary. The Nakamura agency. I'll drop the information. I'll drop it. But Gary is in, I believe he's either in Pueblo or Denver. He has the 303 number, so I think it's Denver, but he might have an office in Pueblo. Maybe he has multiple offices. Anyways, I'm going on a tangent here. But the insurance part is really important to have, you guys. That is a must. Like, really should have that, like, down pat.
Anything that stops the flow of your business, stops you from making money, you need to be considering it and thinking about it.
Yes, absolutely. So just to kind of tie this last portion down, I really want you guys to start thinking about that so that you guys know this is what I need to be charging. This is where you start. You've got to know your numbers. You've got to know your numbers to know your overall, cost and what you need to charge. And don't forget you in this whole process. That's the most important part, is you and your family, what you're building.
That's the whole point you went into business for yourself, right?
That's right. That's the whole reason why you went into business for yourself. I think what I'm going to show you guys just really quick next, if I can, is after, so you guys know what we do after, and every single month we're tying in these numbers, and we've actually, we filled out all of the expense report sheet. Actually, let me just go back to that one more time. So every single month, so that you can see on this particular form here, you're going to see that basically it's January through December. This is configured to give you the total right here, all the way down until the very bottom number. Eventually, right here, I'm going to have a grand total. And then for my office expenses, which I call the comfort of the office, is also going to have another total. You can combine them into one. It's just, this is the way that we configured it, that we liked it the best. What's nice about this, you guys, what's so nice, and again, this is another podcast, is that those numbers then I can look at after the year is done and see where I've spent too much money. What's costing me too much? Right. What do I need to get rid of?
They call that bleeding. Where are you bleeding in your business income?
And not only that, but it allows me to set goals for myself. So once all my figures are done throughout the year and I know, okay, this is what I spent, this is what I made, next year we need to look at these figures, and if I want to give myself a raise, if Whitney wants a raise, if the business needs a raise in general, if inflation has happened and we need to up the prices, if my labs are costing me more money, we can set goals to say, this is how much money we made last year, this is how much we need to make this year, and guess what? That means that I need to reconfigure all of these numbers again.
Right.
I need to say, okay, $7,500 is not my bare minimum because I need to make more money. You have to assess these things every single year.
Yes.
Monthly, again, we're taking our statements. I have my 2 business cards. We're taking them. We're putting them in there.
And guys, I'm literally going through each individual transaction on those printout statements and entering those into this machine. This beautiful machine that adds it up together for us. And it's tedious, and it's whether it's you doing it, you have an assistant that's doing it, maybe your accountant is doing it for you.
Because there's plenty of accountants that will do this.
Yes.
And they, but that's another charge, and maybe you're not there.
Exactly.
That, if you have an assistant and you can kind of tie it in, that they can take care of some of this stuff, why not?
We don't do that much volume in the statement, so it's totally capable for us to do it every single month. So there's no reason why we need to be adding another charge into your your monthly business bills when it's something that you can do on your own.
And that makes you make another really good point there. Maybe your business doesn't look like ours and you do have 10 different contractors or employees.
Right.
This probably doesn't make sense to have your assistant do it. You probably want to give it over to an accountant. And I will say that my accountant is amazing as well, has won multiple awards, and she's on it. And she does do bookkeeping. It is an additional charge, but because we're such a smaller based business, I feel that it's easier for us to do it. Yes. And I also feel like I love to know my numbers.
Yes.
I love to know my numbers, what we're doing, where we can grow, what we need to get rid of, like I said.
Yes.
So every month, Whitney, I say us, Whitney.
No, because, so this is another thing that I wrote down that I want us to point out too. Check your numbers. I can't tell you how many times I've messed up, looked at something wrong. I have a whole technique now with my highlighter and my extra scratch piece of paper and going through each statement. But Leah does. She has to come back after me and be like, okay, Whit, what's this charge? This is in here wrong. What is this? Make this make sense to me. You need to have multiple eyes, I think, on a form like this to make sure it's being inputted correctly.
Well, what's so nice is about the systems that we've created together, though, is that they should all match up.
Yes.
And when something doesn't match up, you know that there's something off. So if my figures on my expense report here are not matching what I've put in my P&L, which is profit and loss, which needs to be done every single month, and that's what I want to show you guys next, then I know that I need to go back in there and configure where I'm off. Maybe it was the Excel program that somehow missed something or got, messed up during a transaction. It happens.
Or maybe you just messed up and typed in the wrong number, or something got mix matched or entered in wrong, or your formula on your Excel form is messed up and it's giving you the numbers wrong. Always double check your work.
Yes. So then what she's doing after those numbers are configured in each one of those sectors, January, February, March, is she's going in and we've created a P&L profit and loss statement, which you want to have in your business every single month. Again, this now gives me a more telescopic viewpoint of my business. Whether I'm in the red or whether I'm in the green. And we've been in the red.
Yes, we have.
We've been in the red. And that could be just due to us traveling too much. But
it's education.
That's right. Always education. That's right. We're taking off on it. We're taking off, you guys, to go to St. Louis to Shutterfest. We're super excited. More education for us.
Yes.
But guess what? I get to write that whole trip off. Like, that's amazing.
Yep.
So, you guys, in this P&L master copy, what I want to show you guys, first and foremost, is that if you're using a Square, if you're using Clover, if you're using Stripe, whatever it is that you're using, that's going to give you can get transactional reports from them, and it's going to take out their fees. So right there we have what we've taken in, and then it's going to also take out the merchant fees in there. So I hope you guys can kind of see this. It looks a little small on my end, but
well, and I love to go over the actual, I know we don't have a whole lot of time left, but just the structure of this form as well, guys, has been chewed on a couple of times. Because for me, when I'm going in there, I know it makes sense to her, it's her business, but I'm trying to look at it from the expense sheet form, the Excel form, and make it make sense to where it flows onto here. So we've had to revise this a couple of times to where it just flows and the numbers make sense. Yeah. If the numbers don't make sense on here, something's wrong.
If it don't make dollars, then it don't make sense. You guys, so when we're looking at this, she's absolutely right. The very top portion is what we've taken in, less the discounts and comps. If we had to do any type of client refunds, if somebody gave us a tip, have to count those things in. And then what we have is our merchant fees, what they actually charge us. We get that back tax time, okay? Next, we put in a figure right here. You have to have, if you are an S Corp, a reasonable compensation that you pay yourself. If you are not an S Corp, you don't need to worry about this. You're probably, again, taking some type of withdrawal or distribution. So for shits and giggles, what we did was we put $2,000 in here, and we basically put taxes, your Medicaid, your withholding, all of that stuff needs to be put in there because that's what the accountant said.
Right.
That's why. That's why.
That's why it's so important to have an accountant, because they will tell you what has to be done.
And you guys, when I say a reasonable compensation, most of the time your accountant is going to give you that figure, okay?
Yes.
If we have $2,000 and they say this is what a reasonable compensation is for a photographer, then that's what I'm doing, okay? We want to listen to those things.
Follow instructions by those people. They have that job for a reason.
Correct. And then what we go into next is like all of those other pricing: beauty supplies, labs, travel, automobile expenses, dues, subscription, equipment. And again, at the end, it's going to tell you if I took any distribution. So I pay myself, but maybe this month I needed an additional $500 for something.
Maybe something came up that you didn't, emergency, something.
That's correct. And guess what, guys? Again, I have the money inside of my account. And so that's great. I can do that, right?
Yeah.
And then what we're going to do on the bottom is take that number, the total expenses. Okay, we're going to take all of the expenses, and we're going to now basically take what we took in at the very top, and we're going to deduct those expenses, and that's going to give us our final net profit, what we're actually putting into our pocket.
So many people, I feel like, don't look at that. They look at the money that comes in, but they don't take all the other extra things out.
You know, what I'd like to do is just show you one month that we were in the red.
Are these old? I think in the beginning.
Maybe
the second month or the third month.
Let's look at February really quick and just see if we were in the red.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. So you guys, it may have shown that month I took in $13,000. By the time I took out all my expenses, guess what? $7,000 in the negative. Know your numbers, okay? Listen, there's going to be months that you're going to be in the red. There's going to be months that you're going to be above and beyond in the green. Maybe I took February off. Maybe we traveled a whole lot more.
Right.
Maybe I spent too much money that I shouldn't have been spending.
Or maybe you're just going through a dry spell in your business.
Maybe your business is just not doing what it needs to be doing. But you guys, it's really important, because then maybe in a following month, I doubled it in green, and so I made up for that month. So don't let those numbers scare you. Let them scare you a little bit.
Right.
But don't let them scare you completely, because we know our numbers so well that I actually do not get worried when I look at these things. So you guys, this was a lot of information.
It was a lot of information.
A lot of great information. Yes. And it was so important. I'm so glad Whitney's sitting here with me. It feels good. It feels right.
Yes.
And maybe what we'll do is also kind of dive in a little bit more, where she can kind of show you the way that she processes this down. If you guys think that would be something that you would want to know, let us know.
Let us know. Yeah, I'd be happy to go through, even if we set up something.
But she's going to charge because she knows her worth.
Yes, I know my worth.
So if you want to find out, then you may just have to watch the podcast, okay?
Yes.
You guys, it's really, really important, because, again, if you don't know these numbers, you could be in a lot of trouble in your business.
Right.
And so if this information was valuable to you, please let us know. If you want to know more about this type of, business structure, let us know. This is like literally where you need to start in your business if you're running a business.
Yes.
First and foremost. Very, very, very important. Let us know. Drop a comment.
Yes.
Say, hey, oh my gosh, Leah, I love that. Also, just so you guys know, I'm going to be teaching a course on May 8th and May 9th. One is going to be on the flow of boudoir posing. That's going to be here at my studio. So if you are local and you would love to be a part of that, please let us know. We'll get you registered. I'm only taking 20 students for each class. May 9th is going to be from light and airy to dark and moody. Miss Whitney here will be modeling for both of those classes. And so if you need to build your portfolio, that's a great time to do it.
Yes.
100% great time to do it. So let us know. We'll get you guys registered. We'll get you guys into the right system and where you need to go and what you need to do.
Yes.
I'm very honored to be able to host these they're called Super
Yes.
1 Day workshops put on by PPA,
Woo!
Professional Photographers of America. They also just did a piece on me that's coming out in their next month, their magazine. And also there's something online that you can find. So the course price is going to go up if you don't get in early, but it's another great way to get me one-on-one,
Yes.
to see Whitney build a portfolio.
Yes,
She's
yes.
going to throw in all of her information as well,
Yes.
because you guys, Whitney is my right-hand man. I don't know if I tell her this enough, but she is my right-hand man. I do not want to do business without her.
Yes, I
And,
love that.
you just are. She's
Yeah.
important to me. She's become a little bit of a comfort blanket for me. I have to be careful with that. But she's just such a major help. She's a hype man. She's a makeup artist. She is an accountant in many ways. She's my bookkeeper.
Yeah.
She is so much to me in my business. And so, I don't want to do business without her. So
Yes. Get you a right hand. It
get
helps.
you a right hand. That's right. And what I was going to say is that we're going to continue to drop more courses and probably continue to do more live one-on-one educational things as well. So keep that in mind if you're
Yes.
interested in getting some education and you want to work or need a mentor, or you want to start taking courses. We are here for that.
Yes.
And we can definitely do that. You guys,
Yes.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
For being a part of this. We're super excited that you guys are here and joining us. And we are out, guys.
Bye. See y'all later.